I listened to your album, the three songs that are out. Solid stuff,
Okay.
man.
Oh, cool. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, what first off, let me welcome you. My name's Mike Lascotti from the Distorted Dialogue podcast, and this is Gus from Cold Slither. Kick
Hey,
ass.
man.
I
Thanks.
wanted to ask you first because I grew up, obviously, I'm probably around the same age as you. I grew up in the 80s too, and I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. So
Oh,
what led you to form a whole like concept of a band, an album, everything around such a cool G.I. Joe cartoon?
I mean, I actually need to credit Gerardo Martinez. He's the mastermind behind all this. I used to play in a band um, 100 years ago called Malevolent Creation, and we were signed to
Okay.
Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
And and Gerardo was a label manager at the time. Oh, let me switch over here because the light sucks. There we go. That's better.
I'm
Um,
listening, but I'm trying to pull up your logo so it gives the like listeners, what the album is.
and anyway, I don't know how we figured out, but we're both massive GI Joe fans,
Okay.
and yeah, me and Gerardo. So we kind of just like became buds, like even outside of the work relationship, because we both love GI Joe. And
What's your
I
favorite
don't remember.
character?
Holy shit, man! That's I mean, emotionally, man, my heart always goes with Duke. Duke was
Okay.
like a bit of a father figure to me. I love Spirit, but I love like probably my favorite toy was always Storm Shadow.
Yeah.
In particular, man, I always loved the Dreadnoks. I mean, I feel like I became a Dreadnok. Like I'm this kind of misfit counterculture guy that kind of was just like fuck the world and played metal.
I'll be honest, like as I think about like the G.I. Joe now, and like I'm a former Marine, so like I kind of relate to Gung Ho. So I think he was like probably my favorite of the G.I. Joe characters. But I think I like G.I. Joe much like your music. It's encompassing, it's very broad, like they were very diverse. And your music, I feel, is diverse too, because it's not just straight up thrash or straight up death metal. It's well rounded and it tells some great stories in it.
Well, I think musically, when I was asked to write the music for this, I purposely I knew, I know Cold Slither is a heavy metal band, and I obviously have a significant heavy metal background, but I didn't want to write something so extreme because you have to think that not every GI Joe fan's like a massive metalhead. So I didn't want to write something that people would listen to and be like, "Oof, this is a bit much for me." I just wanted to write a record that hopefully GI Joe fans across a wide spectrum would appreciate and like. So which ultimately that remains to be seen. But
I think it's great. I like it.
uh, well, I mean, honestly, you're kind of the key demographic. You know what I mean? You're of the proper age, and you listen to metal already. So this is sort of uniting two things that you already love. So I mean, I'm incredibly happy to hear that you like it. So
My
that's
only
great, man.
complaint was like, why was there only three songs out so far? Like, can I get some more?
Well, the record comes out July 25th, the
Yeah,
whole album.
yeah, it's great. Well, I haven't heard the whole thing, but I'm banking it's great because like the other three sound so damn good. It has to be, right?
I mean, there is one song that's it's not a thrash metal song, but there's show some teeth. There's a kind of a Black Sabbathy tune. I just kind of wanted to write a bunch of cool songs that I remember when they approached me for it. My thinking was I want to make a record that has its own 2 feet, as opposed to it's just this novelty GI Joe thing. Like it's a good record.
Yeah.
So, which again, ultimately is up to the listener to decide if I accomplish that or not. But if you like the first three songs, you probably will really dig the rest of the record because it's all in that world.
I'll be honest, I've listened to so much music every day. And so like sometimes you go in with preconceived notions. And so when I think Curtis sent out an email and it said like this G.I. Joe themed whatever. So at first I was kind of like, oh man, this sounds gimmicky, you know? But then when I listened to it, I was like, dude, this shit is great. Like it's not gimmicky at all. Because like I think Tim Lambesis has a Austrian Death Machine or something like that. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I mean, I know who he is, but I haven't heard that band.
Yeah, and it just sounds very gimmicky because like it's all like Arnold Schwarzenegger based, and it sounds really gimmicky.
Oh,
So like
yeah. I
everything,
mean,
it's like over the top. But I thought yours was just, it wasn't over the top. It wasn't just filled with needless shit. You know, it was great writing, man.
well, I'll give it to a couple of things. Which, first off, thank you. I appreciate that. I think a couple of factors would be number one. I genuinely love GI Joe. I mean, going to being a kid, GI Joe taught me to respect and honor the military, honor and respect America, honesty, bravery, like all of these life lessons that I feel I carry through to today. I learned from GI Joe. So I owe a lot to them. Like it's a real sincere, deep connection. And then musically, again, I didn't want to make a record that was stupid. I cared a lot and I wanted it to be like good, like, hey, these are good
Yeah.
songs. And I guess selfishly, I'll admit, like, I hope the record's good enough that it creates a demand and we can go on tour
Oh
because
yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to tour this stuff.
Make sure you come to Pittsburgh if you do. It seems like every band skips us, you know?
Oh man, I played Pittsburgh a bunch of times.
Yeah, yeah. With Malevolent Creation.
Malevolent. I play in a band called Gruesome. I play in a band called Left to Die. Um, yeah, I believe we played Pitt several times.
All right. I missed theirs. I'm looking these ones up. Gruesome and Left to Die.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the band called Death?
Yep. Like Chuck Schuldiner Death?
Yeah, yeah. So, for instance, Left to Die is the original members, and we play like the first two records in their entirety. And Gruesome is this real interesting concept where we basically redo as original songs old Death songs. Like it's a very intentional homage, but with new original material, if that makes any sense.
A lot of sense. And so then how did you feel about the tour going around the last year? I think that was so cool that they paid like an homage to Chuck, you know?
I mean, that's, there's basically two camps. There's the Death to All, which feature the later year members, and then Left to Die, which is the one I'm a part of, which features the kind of original members, the guys that were there from like basically almost day one. Actually, so Rick Ross, the guitar player, was him and Chuck were writing, basically inventing death metal in 1983 in their, garage.
Yeah, it's so.
So it's an honor to be a part of that.
Oh, of course, man. So how did like being a malevolent creation in these like heavy, I'm sure Gruesome, I haven't listened to them yet, but I'm sure they're heavy as hell. Doesn't sound like a ballad band, you know?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, so going back to the Malevolent days, so Gerardo Martinez, who's the label manager for Nuclear Blast, him and I formed this friendship over our mutual love of GI Joe. And then at some point, he, I think, befriended somebody at Hasbro and says, "Hey, man, I want to do a Cold Slither like record, like for real, and I want you involved." And I was like, "I'm in."
Yeah.
And then like GI Joe kind of took a real dip at Hasbro. The line kind of went dead, so obviously the idea dissolved. Fast forward to a year ago, GI Joe is alive and well. The classified series is one of Hasbro's biggest sellers. So just GI Joe, uh, you know, is back in the pop culture zeitgeist, and apparently Gerardo had a conversation with somebody at Hasbro, and they greenlit the idea. And for Hasbro, it makes sense because a record company, a legit record company, Gerardo now has his own label called Reigning Phoenix Music. They're like, hey, we will handle all the production and creation and, even manufacturing of the music. It's your IP and you make money off of it, but we'll do all the heavy lifting. So if you're Hasbro, you're like, yeah, sure, killer. And then now they're doing, for Comic Con, they're doing the box set of the figures. So it just all really ties in together. And for me to get the call to write the album and be like the guy in the band is, like I have this tattoo is, I didn't get this last week. Like I've had this Cobra tattoo for quite a while. Like I love everything GI Joe. So for me, this is like a dream come true.
I remember when my parents they bought me for Christmas when I was a kid. I had the Terror Dome and the aircraft carrier, and I was stoked.
Holy shit! Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you were a lucky kid. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
have either one of those.
And then we got older, and me and my vandal friends used to blow up all the figures and shit. Like, oh, mortar!
Dude, and now like a flag is what, $2,800 usually on average.
Yeah.
So like you
So
blew up you blew up some expensive shit, man.
yeah, dude, we used to do all the so like, and this was what my other question was for you. Like, I was into Transformers, He-Man. Like, would you be open at doing like a second band, like a Transformers band, or?
Dude, there's already talks like now that we're in with Hasbro. I mean, basically for me, Hasbro can say jump, and I'll just always say how high. Like
Yeah,
whatever they want to do, if they want me to be involved, like I mean, I got it's Optimus Prime tattoo. Like I'm a I'm a big fan, dude.
so I listened to this one rap. I listened to all kinds of music, and this one rapper, he always puts it in his lyric. He had like he hated the Transformer movie because it never made that sound of like them transforming. And I every time I watch the Transformers now and they don't make that sound, it fucks with me.
Well, here's another interesting tidbit. The reason being is because Hasbro themselves doesn't even have a good quality version of that sound.
Oh,
My team just recently in the last month resurrected the sound and made it modern as far as like being able to be used where they need big sound. So you may see the sound come back, thanks to,
oh,
my guys.
you guys are like way ahead of me in thought process then. I guess you guys already thought all this out.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think this obviously this whole thing is kind of a new concept of taking a toy company and merging it with an actual record company. I mean, it's just, and my hope honestly is that there's probably plenty of metalheads out there that may be exposed to this record because they know me and the guys from the band from the other bands we play in, and maybe they used to be into GI Joe in the '80s, but they haven't thought about it in years. So maybe they come back to GI Joe all these years later. So there's a lot of opportunity for cross mogenation.
Yeah. And I think the coolest part is like I was also a business and a marketing major. So I think like you both are kind of marketing each other's products and like it's a great dynamic as a team. Like every time a GI Joe gets pushed out, your record kind of like gets a little bit of advertising and vice versa.
I mean, I'm just the guy that wrote the stuff, all of the business end stuff. But as far as like, it just is too, to me, it's too obvious. Like,
Yeah.
if the demand is there and Cold Slither goes on tour, Hasbro is entitled to probably a hefty percentage of all monies generated, including guarantee for the show and merchandise. So if you're a Hasbro exec, you probably want Cold Slither to do well on its own because it just benefits you. And obviously, if you're the record company and the band goes on tour and people are buying merchandise and people are buying physical copies, then that just benefits all parties involved. And I get to travel around being Zartan.
Yeah.
That's a
And like you could even
win-win-win.
sorry. You could even do like marketing like a record figurine box set or like there's so many options you can do like album artwork, like t-shirts. Man, you got me excited. I'm not even in the fucking band.
I mean, again, like I have to take you know, an approach where like, which is new for me because normally when I make a record, you become so entrenched in all aspects of it. Whereas this, I've just recorded and wrote the music, and all of the marketing stuff is completely out of my hands. But the good thing is, Gerardo at the label is super excited about it because he loves G.I. Joe and Cold Slither. And I think it seems like Hasbro is really digging the cross marketing aspect of this. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes great.
Yeah, if there's anything I can do to help push stuff, let me know.
I mean, hey, we're having a conversation about it, so that helps, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, me and my wife watch a lot of those like toys from the 80s documentaries, and like I've always watched the G.I. Joe ones, and then you start looking at like Barbie because I had like a female cousin. And like I think like you said, when writing this music, I wonder like are you overly passionate when you write this? Because like I would be like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I recently wrote an article for Decibel magazine, titled "The Toys That Saved Me." Like for me, without getting into it, my childhood was a bit rough. And
yeah,
so my heroes were, He-Man, Luke Skywalker, Optimus Prime, Duke, Flint, like I looked up to these guys, and they taught me lessons in life that like I said, I carry to this day, like, I mean, you're a Marine. Thank you for your service, man. I
yeah,
appreciate you guys.
yeah,
Like,
thanks.
it really.
Well, I'm glad you got into this and I'm glad you wrote it. So like how did like having all of these like heavier bands, how were you able to transition your sound to like I don't want to say it's a lighter fare, but it's definitely a different sound than like death metal and you know?
Sure. Well, I mean, I make a living, spoiler alert, death metal bands don't make a ton of money. So, we do okay on tour, but I come home and I play guitar and sing in like cover bands. So I'm incredibly well versed in popular songs and popular music. And so when writing this stuff, I'm just very aware of let me write simple, catchy songs that are heavy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the formula. I mean, almost just like Sabbath or, I mean, even Metallica, even Slayer songs fall under that cat. Even Lamb of God songs, they're kind of real simple songs. There's a verse, there's a chorus, there's a verse, there's a chorus, middle section, and then the end of the song. They're just really easily digestible, catchy songs that stick in your head. And, I just sort of adopted that to this and just wrote all the songs, with a guitar plugged into a Marshall turned up loud. And then when you feel the riffs, you got it, or at least you hope you got it. And then you just make a song out of it.
So what led you into like death metal guitar or like even just metal guitar versus like another?
It's the story is I in early 1987 I was listening to Metallica and I think Twisted Sister and like Wasp and bands like that. A kid at school was like, "Listen, you guys need to stop playing around with these little boy bands and check out a band called Slayer." We went to the store. I bought Rain and Blood. We were at the mall. My mother gave my brother and I $5 each to get pizza, and we went and bought Rain and Blood on cassette. Came home, listened to 28 minutes of that, and honestly, it's literally that's the line in the sand. I wanted a guitar, and I wanted to play metal, like and it's a trajectory that I've been on to this day. So those 28 minutes in 1987 have reverberated till present day. So that's really the moment for me.
Yeah, I grew up from a rough background too, and I always found like peace in music, you know? Music was the one thing, and metal itself like would never tell you no, it would never be mean to you, you know? It was just always there. And a lot of the chaos in the metal like allowed me to feel like, hey, it's okay to live in chaos, you know?
Yes, I exactly. And I do think about, I was 10 years old when I heard Rain and Blood. And for a 10-year-old kid to hear music that aggressive and that visceral and just immediately connect on a very deep level, I kind of look at it like, life is like this monster. And when you're in metal, you kind of befriend the monster. So now the monster is less scary. So
Yeah.
you sort of like, it's almost like, when you're a little kid and you like watch a vampire movie, and you're like, man, it'd be so sick to be a vampire. Nobody would mess with you. So it's like kind of like that. Like it empowers you to deal with the shit around you. Dude, I owe my life to metal.
I agree with you there. I think riffs are probably, besides my family, are the most important things in my life, you know? But I
Yes,
I
sir.
got into like Slayer and stuff first, but I think punk rock was like I did like 10 years of punk rock, like almost like a jail cell. And I just listened to punk for 10 years. And I think that helped me too, like in the thought process.
Well, punk rock is the precursor to all of this. It all
Yeah,
starts
man.
with Sabbath. And then very shortly after Sabbath, the UK starts spawning up this punk rock stuff, which, the big thing to me about punk rock was like the fuck you-ness of it all and like the lyrical content. It was like, it gave the Misfits a voice.
Yeah.
And all Slayer really did was took the punk rock speed and aggression, and just morphed it with like the evil of like Sabbath and Venom and Judas Priest, and then that's how you got thrash metal.
Yeah.
So punk rock is in the DNA of all of this stuff. I love punk rock.
Yeah. I think that's what formed. My wife says that's what's ruined me. And like now I'm anti-authority, anti-everything, you know. But it's punk rock, man.
It's punk rock. I mean, it's literally a term.
Yeah. So when you like when you switch from like a death metal to like Cold Slither, do you have to switch guitars, switch pedals for a different sound, or is it just basically the same tones moving over?
No, honestly, the guitar tone for Cold Slither is the exact same guitar tone for any thrash or death metal record I've ever made. It's actually a very aggressive guitar tone. You just write riffs that are, not quite as aggressive, but they're still heavy. At least you hope they are.
Yeah, they are.
And it's literally the exact same amp and guitar that I've made tons of records on. It's an old Marshall from like the late '90s, and an old Marshall cab from probably the late '80s.
Wow. I write
Yeah, I love those two. I love those two pieces of gear like they're my children. I really like my Marshalls, so I don't take them on tour or anything. Like that head and that cabinet live in my studio.
okay. So where is your studio?
I'm in South Florida, so it's luckily it's about 15-20 minutes from where I live.
Yeah, that's
And
not
what's
bad.
interesting about that too is the Dreadnoks, which I didn't even know this till obviously years later because it wasn't ever discussed in the cartoon, but the Dreadnoks are based in the Florida Everglades, which is about two and a
Yeah.
half miles west of where I'm at right now.
They used to have that boat, didn't they, with like the big fan on the back?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the skiff or whatever it was.
I can't remember. Dude, I think I'm gonna spend the rest of the day like researching YouTube, just watching old cartoons, you know?
Oh, dude, all the episodes are on YouTube. And what's interesting is, man, when you watch G.I. Joe as an adult, dude, a lot of the themes and a lot of the stuff that goes on there holds up even as an adult, man. There's some good heavy real shit in G.I. Joe. There's obviously like ridiculous stuff, but man, a lot of it holds up.
Yeah. I used to think like that thing at the end, you know, like knowing is half the battle. I was like, oh man, that's cheesy. But like we just had bad storms up here in Pittsburgh, and some guy was like messing with a electrical wire. And I was like, dude, I remember the G.I. Joe episode where he's like, don't touch a downed wire. But the dude died. He didn't watch G.I. Joe.
He did not watch G.I. Joe.
He
He
should
did
have
not
though.
know. He didn't even have half the battle in him, unfortunately.
Yeah,
We
that was
all
only
we all we all knew.
yeah. So, man, dude, you got my head spinning now. I'm thinking all kinds of marketing, you know?
I mean, I think it's a rich vein, and this is literally just the tip of it coming out. So I'm very excited to see what the general reaction to the whole record is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
obviously, as the guy that wrote it, I'm very curious to see how it all is going to pan out.
definitely. So, are you guys a four piece?
Yeah, I basically, when I got done with the record and then I was told we were going to play live, I basically just pulled in guys that from my work bands or
Yeah,
whatever, guys I work with,
sure.
which are all everybody's a, 25 plus 30-year veteran of playing live. Everyone's a pro. The bass player is a giant G.I. Joe nerd like I am. The
That's
guitar
cool.
player is a big Marvel comic book nerd, so
Yeah.
he's in the club. And the drummer is from England, plays in a band called KMFDM, so he's actually like a real dreadnought.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good band. It'll be a good live show.
KMFDM isn't for the light of heart either, you know?
No, that's some heavy shit there too, man. But he's a
Yes.
slamming killer drummer, and he literally looks like the cartoon character. So like he was ready to go.
So are you guys, if you play live, are you gonna like get like costumes or something to like
Yes, sir. Doing the whole bit, man.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, dude.
Dude, I don't give a fuck where you play. As long as you're close to here, I'm driving, you know? It's worth it.
Well, so far there's the one show at Comic Con in San Diego.
All right, that's
Um,
a far fucking drive.
right, yeah, no, and I'm saying, hopefully it sells out and it goes well. A lot of the future of this, in my opinion, really hinges on the success of that show. So hopefully, if the record is marketed right and it sells and there's a demand, I would love to just announce a Cold Slither 2026 tour.
Yeah. So when is the show at the San Diego Comic-Con?
It's at a venue called Brick by Brick in San Diego, July 24th.
Awesome. I wish you guys the most success, and obviously if there's anything I can do to help you, man, reach out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it got to be hard, starting with a brand new band, and getting going. But are you guys going to be on
I
Raining
mean,
Phoenix?
yeah. So, I mean, honestly, the interesting thing is it's not a brand new band. It's a 40-year-old band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's brand new music, which never existed before, but it is a band that has existed and has its own fan base. So it'll be really interesting to see how all of that kind of pans out.
Yeah, now that you say it like that, I get it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
And with Raining Phoenix music too, I mean, I've interviewed I don't know how many bands from them, and it just seems like quality, just release after release after release. So I think like, just being on Raining Phoenix is going to give you guys a lot of push right there, you know?
Well, the people running it ran the world's biggest metal label for decades, so they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm super proud and excited to be working with Gerardo again after, I met that guy probably 20 something years ago.
Yeah. How long has it been since you guys worked together on a project?
Oh man, 2014. So what's that,
Oh,
11
wow.
years ago?
So it
Yeah.
has to, you have to be excited to like rekindle that process, you know?
Oh man, well, but we're old friends, so it's definitely, and we're working on something that means a great deal to both of us. So it's been just amazing.
It has to feel kind of serendipitous to you. Like all this shit coming together, like that you love, and
I
you have
mean,
fucking
it
tattoos of it.
feels it's surreal. It's just completely surreal. I remember going to get the costume and putting it on, and I was just like, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty. I mean, even looking behind you and seeing the Cold Slither logo, like it's just nuts to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I see I have a couple friends who have like the Cobra tattoo or the GI Joe because I work at the VA and all these veterans have like GI Joe. My neighbor actually is a Navy vet and he has a GI Joe license plate. So it's not like you're in like this little niche segment, you know?
No, I mean G.I. Joe is a big IP. I think it means a lot to a lot of people. I would imagine, and I obviously I don't know because I never enlisted, but I would imagine, that's when I remember being a kid watching it. I remember just thinking like, man, it must be so cool to be in the military and fighting for America. Like I remember the episodes with Sergeant Slaughter
Yeah.
in particular. And at the end of this one episode, he said something like, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And it was just like this this, you just feel this proud American moment. So like, I have a tremendous amount of respect for our military, and a lot of it was born from GI Joe.
I think maybe too, like now that you mention it, if there is wisdom nuggets like that, they were clearly lost on me in my youth. But like I think about it now,
they're
there was so much
they're in
moral.
there they're in there somewhere, though. They're in there somewhere.
Yeah. And I always think back to like all those shows, like whether it was Transformers or whatever. It's so much moral goodness and like good positive things that they're pushing. There's so little of that on TV or like in any media today of positivity or
There will never be another time like that again, man.
unless Cold Slither takes the world by storm.
Yeah, unless we brainwash everybody into, but then Cold Slither is the bad guy, so we'll see. You know,
Yeah, but can't you switch? Like, can't you just be like the antithesis of evil? And
again, all of whatever the future holds, it's exciting to see, and it's out of my hands. And honestly, it's in the public's hands now. Like,
yeah,
and it's just like any band. When you make a piece of music and you put it out, it's out of you can't do anything about it. It all depends on how the public reacts to it. So we'll see what happens.
but I think when you, like you said though, when you write music for yourself about things that you love, it seems that more often than not, that love and that passion gets translated over to fans too. So,
I mean, that's my hope, is that, I think, when this first all came out, they hadn't announced who's in the band, and there was a lot of comments like, man, this shit sounds like it's AI. I'm hoping that when the fan base hopefully, comes around to find that the guys in the band are not just professional, real musicians, but that we have a genuine love of GI Joe. I hope that shifts some attitudes.
well, as I listened to the lyrics, like you could tell that you guys are like into it and watched it. It's not like you were just four guys who didn't give a shit about G.I. Joe, just making something
Yeah, which
contractually.
right, and I've seen some comments like that too. Like, I don't know who these guys think they are, but and it's like, obviously this is all just now making it. These are my first sets of interviews that I'm even doing. So, I hope that the word gets out that, yeah, we're you guys. Like, we love GI Joe. We're real musicians, and this means a lot to us.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Well, hey, I hate to cut this short. I'm running out of time. I wanted to thank you with so much going on. I wanted to thank you for stopping by today and releasing, just sending over just killer tunes, you know?
Thanks for chatting with me. I appreciate it, and I'm hopefully you go and you start watching some GI Joe episodes on YouTube and reconnect, man.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be spinning Cold Slither, I'll tell you that.
Speaking of Marines, you mentioned Gung Ho, but Leatherneck, man, that guy was,
Yeah,
he was the most outspoken. I remember there was a line where he was like, experience the glory of being a Marine. Like, I just remember lines like that as a kid, and you just feel this like, this
yeah.
pride, man. It resonated with me as a kid, and it still resonates with me now.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad. I'm glad you like, you cherished and held on to all that. You could have just turned out to be an asshole, you know? Like, but you didn't.
which plenty of people did. So, I'm grateful that, I heeded I learned the lessons. They stuck.
Yeah, man.